sure, that I was fired because I was gay.
Right.
Now, it's hard to prove that kind of a thing, obviously. I mean, how could I really prove that that's why they fired me unless I had them on recording or something? But obviously, nothing happened until that they found out I was gay. So anyway, the point is that I think it happens all the time. Gay people do get fired because they're gay, and I think discrimination is rampant among gay people and trans people in this country.
Absolutely.
And speaking of trans people, did you either one of you watch Kate this week or not?
I missed it
Oh
again. What
God.
happened?
Do you watch it, Jason? You don't watch it either.
I watched it last weekend or the
Okay.
weekend before. I haven't watched it since.
All right. Well, you guys are bitches. You're missing it. But anyway, it's a really good. The show's really good, and a lot of shit happened. But anyway, she basically discovered that people have a fucking hard time. She's rich and privileged and white, and these people who are black and people who have had to turn to street work and things like that because they were fired from their jobs and because they were,
Mhm.
transgender or whatever. And she ends up actually one of them. She couldn't go to. She went to nursing school, and she got rejected 6 times in a row, even though she had straight A's and had all the requirements and everything else. 6 times in a row, she got rejected, and it was because she was transgender. And so Kate actually doesn't know it, but she's actually paying for her to go to. She's getting her on Ellen, and then she's paying for her to go to nursing school so that she can get her nursing degree because she used to be doing sex work. So my point is, people have to
Mhm.
turn to all sorts of things because
Right.
they're discriminated against, and we're still discriminated against because we're gay or trans or whatever. So there's a lot we still have to fight for. Even that we've got the right to
Absolutely.
be married now, great, but there's a lot we still have to fight for in this country being gay. So. You wanted to talk about Stonewall? I did too, by the way. Uh,
Yeah, this has been a big discussion over the past few days, especially within the gay community. Is this Stonewall independent film trailer that was just released?
yes.
And in this trailer, it seems as though they're depicting as the characters. They're saying everyone's whitewashed, is what they're saying. So I guess washed by the white man, as in they're not. They're
Mm-hmm.
like they're. It's very Hollywood, you know. It's they're not transgendered people that they're depicting in the movie like it was in real life, and a lot of people are really upset that they're not
I'm one of them.
staying true to the characters, seeing as how, especially, not only do you want to tell the story correctly, but so many advances that we've had within our community just in the last 5 years alone.
Right.
We should be telling the story.
And I agree. This upsets me. I don't know how you feel, Jason, but it upsets me because the people who were primarily instrumental in the Stonewall riots were it was not a white gay male primarily. It
Mm.
was transgender, black, Hispanic type people who were leading the cause in this at this night or whatever. It was most of those people who were doing the work, and they don't get honored. And it's not saying that they're not reflected in the movie. It's just why do they have
Mhm.
to make the hero a white gay male? Why did they have to do
Mhm.
that when in reality that wasn't the reality? There's so few examples of that are stories told about gays that are not Caucasian. There's plenty of Caucasian hero stories out there about gay guys, but this particular story is so instrumental. And the truth to the matter is that the majority of the people were not that man; they were these people, and I find that to be a travesty. I think they should be reflected
Mhm.
honestly, and not the way it was reflected in the movie. From what I've seen, I haven't seen the movie, but just from the previews. But what do you think,
Right.
Jason?
It hasn't come out yet. Just the trailers have come out.
Right. What do you think, Jason?
I'm not surprised. I mean, I'm not because not even when it comes to this, but when it comes to
Just in general.
just when they try to do movies in general and that type of thing,
Mm-hmm.
they always Hollywood. Excuse me. I'm not going to say they. I'm going to say Hollywood. They try to
Whitewash.
whitewash pretty much. For example, I know when they were. This is something that I heard a few months ago. I haven't heard anything else about it since. So I don't know if it's still going through or
Uh
not.
huh.
But they were going to redo the Cleopatra movie,
Yes. I heard
and
about that.
instead, instead of finding a black actress to do it, actress, they're going to use Angelina Jolie allegedly.
Ridiculous.
So and I guess Hollywood is just like, well, they can get more money off of this
Of course they
person
can. Yes.
as opposed to a black actress, which I think is really really fucked up.
Well, I think that
But
that's all Hollywood's about is about the bottom line. They're not about
Hmm.
artistry, really. Also, on that same note, Jason, there was a movie, I can't remember what it was called, but it was about some Hawaiian chick, and they got like Reese Witherspoon or somebody like to play this Hawaiian chick. Okay, Hawaiian. So I mean, that's just another example of how they just take all these roles from these people who could be playing them, who need the work probably, especially in Hollywood, who could be playing these roles and actually reflecting it honestly instead of being played by people who are Caucasian. I think that's unfair.
Do you think that this was lack of doing research, or do you think this was intentional as far as the Stonewall in movie goes?
I think it was intentional, and in terms of them actually trying to capitalize on the biggest audience that they could,
I agree.
garner.
Absolutely.
You know.
Well, and then the director of the movie did a little interview, and basically it was like, don't listen to the crazies, you know, this is our interpretation of it, and it's our art, and it's not about what's factual. And I'm like, baloney, you again are trying to make your bottom line because you know this is a hot topic, and a lot of people are very passionate about the Stonewall in riots.
That's like the birth point of our movement to some degree with Stonewall. So I mean that's incredibly important, and I think it should be told as factually as possible. Maybe someone else will make another movie about it and do it.
I mean, it is just an independent film, so
true.
Hopefully, a big studio will recognize that people are interested in this and they want to see it done correctly. And it's funny because I actually last week I got a press release on it, and they were asking if I'd posted it on my blog, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool, a movie about Stonewall." I'm like, wow, that's really awesome. And I just I didn't even open the trailer. I barely read the press release, but I was like, oh yeah, maybe I'll like tweet it or something. And then the next day I saw it, just all my social media just blown up with everyone upset about this. I was like, okay, never mind. I'm not gonna be,
Well, I think it's basically, I think it's true. I mean, I think we all agree on this. I think primarily it's just shitty of Hollywood to have done this, but they do it all the time. It's nothing new. Like Jason said, he's not surprised. I'm not surprised either. And I think that how do you change that though? Hollywood is ruled by a certain cast of people, and in order to break through that mold, which has been in existence since the early studio days, I don't know how that's ever going to change. As long as money is their main objective, which it always will be. Instead of artistry. And I think, like Jason said, just because you use a black actress doesn't mean it won't make money. I mean, there's been plenty of movies that have used black actresses that have made tons of money, like Whitney Houston and people like that or whatever. But I mean, people have actually been able to make money off people just because of their race. It doesn't really matter. It's about their talent, I think. It's about who they are. I think that would look a lot better to actually use somebody, and Cleopatra, for example, that's at least a minority.
Yeah, I feel like I'm sure from their point of view, they're thinking if they cast a black actress, then it would be considered a black movie, which is just so silly to me.
And I also
but
think...
wait.
I think
didn't Elizabeth Taylor...
That's exactly what I was about
Cleopatra?
to say, and I think that's exactly what I was about to say. I think part of it is they're drawing contrast between she and Elizabeth Taylor because she's kind of our Elizabeth Taylor of today.
Right, yeah.
I think that's part of why I'm using her.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, what about Kim Richards? You guys, I watch Beverly Hills, but I don't know if you watch it, Jason. Do you watch Beverly Hills, the Real Housewives, or not?
No.
So Kim Richards is the aunt of Paris Hilton and Nikki Hilton and all the Hiltons and blah blah. Mm-hmm. And her and her sister are on the show, and Kim's whole thing throughout the years the show have been on is that she has like alcohol problem and maybe some prescription medication. So she's like that housewife that's like a little pilled out, right? So through the years she's gone to rehab, and we've kind of seen her like get sober and all this stuff. Well, most recently, I want to say about 6 months ago, and even the last season on the show, she took some pills on the last season of the show, right?
Yes.
I want to say when they were in Amsterdam or whatever.
Yes.
And everybody made such a big deal out of it, and she didn't understand why. And Lisa Rinna was like, let's get you like another sponsor. Like she was all on board to get her helped out. And she's like, I don't have a problem.
Wait a minute. Lisa Rinna is on the show?
Yes.
Yeah, she's on the show.
She's happy. I love her, by the way. But yes, she's on the show.
She's a really good housewife. Anyways,
okay.
So she ends up relapsing, goes to rehab earlier this year, and or she was arrested earlier this year for public intoxication. Was she driving? I don't know. But most recently, as of last week, she got arrested for shoplifting $600 from Target.
Why?
And she thought that she'd be
$600?
really creative if she went to the dollar aisle and got like those reusable totes,
Yes, and
like
filled
filled
it
up
up.
her whole cart of like toys and food and makeup. I mean, I didn't know Kim Richards was wearing CoverGirl, but okay, makeup and took it through the express line. And when then somebody stopped her, she was like, "Oh, I already paid for these," and then she filled up 2 carts. And within 10 feet of walking out the store, they got her and they arrested her. Can you believe that? You have all this money in your family.
That's what I said to my husband, but he said he read that she had actually lost her house and she was not really living anywhere. And I'm not sure what the deal is with her money, but I don't think also I don't think she's talking to Kyle anymore, because if she were, Kyle would have been helping her.
Well, I mean, you could tell through watching the show from the years that her and Kyle were really only reality TV sisters.
You think
they
so?
weren't really sisters in real life. Absolutely. Even Kyle said it all the time. We haven't talked in a year
Right.
since we filmed the reunion.
Right.
That's a year, you know? So obviously you guys didn't have any sort of a relationship until you had to for the show.
Well, that's horrible.
I mean, I do think when they were filming the show, Kyle was trying her best to be her sister, but when those cameras aren't rolling, I don't think they had any sort of relationship.
I don't think that's because of
Absolutely.
Kyle. From what I saw, I think it's because of Kim.
Oh, I don't think so either. I think it's because Kyle, it seems like throughout their whole life, they've had this tug of war thing for who kind of is the better sister, I guess you could say.
Right.
Because Kyle, wants Kim to do well and all this stuff, but Kim just constantly thinks that Kyle's attacking her, her character, and blah, blah, blah.
Exactly.
So, I mean, you got to hit rock bottom to come back up, though.
What about Wendy Williams?
So, speaking of hitting rock bottom, did you guys see the video of Wendy Williams falling off stage in Houston?
Laughed my ass off. Sorry.
Yeah, I saw it.
So she was trying to be cute and step off the stage and walk into the audience, and she took a little tumble. I actually saw Wendy the night before when she was here in Dallas. And, it's interesting because, if you watch a show or, you're into her or anything, she's made it clear that on her stand-up comedy tour, it's very X-rated and it's adult content.
Yes.
It's not talk show Wendy.
Right.
And that is 125% true. I mean, every word that came out of this woman's mouth was a swear word. She told the dirtiest stories, but it was so funny. And it was kind of one of those things where, like, she was just in, like, a street wig. And in the Dallas show, she was just wearing, like, black shorts and a black top. And she just kind of sat on stage and had conversations with people and just told stories. And it was actually, like, a very down-to-earth, just chill experience. And it was just interesting. She talked about how she lost her virginity. She talked about how she started doing drugs. She talked about how her son walked in on her giving her husband a blowjob.
Oh my God.
Like, she went into deep detail on some of these stories. But my favorite story she told a story about how her grandma died while she was like babysitting her, essentially.
She died while she was
her
babysitting
lunch.
her? Oh my God.
And she was cooking her lunch, and she walked in, and she said she was like 14 or 15. She walked in to her grandma's room to go feed her lunch, and her grandma had died in her sleep. And so she was like trying to clean her up before she called the operator, because 911 wasn't around back then. So
how old is she?
She's in her 50s.
Okay.
So she was saying she lifted her grandma up, and whenever she put her back down on the mattress slid off the bed, and hundreds of dollar bills were under her grandma's mattress. So she was like, that was my grandma's payment of taking care of her, all that. Like, she just told these really funny stories, and I mean, I do recommend, even if you don't like her, if she comes back in town to do stand-up, if you enjoy comedy, if you enjoy hearing funny stories, I would definitely go see her.
I considered going to see her, but I decided, no. I was like, no, I didn't think it'd be that good, but I guess it was. That's great. That's cool.
I didn't go because I heard the tickets were going to be expensive.
How much were they?
They were on Groupon. They had $20 coupons on Twitter. No, we're not expensive.
Okay, well, a friend told me they were like $140.
Maybe for front row or something.
They were not that much. They were not.
Oh my God. No, I would not pay $140 to see her. I'd pay $20 to see her, but I wouldn't pay $140.
But yeah,
Well, that's
it was a good
good.
time. It was a good time. And she was on stage for an hour and 30 minutes. So
That's awesome. Well, I like, and like I said to you before, she just something rubs me wrong about her.